Every chef in America who has already clocked in 72 hours this week and multiple years into the food industry is going to absolutely despise me by the end of this article. Why stop there? I'm also going to be loathed by current college students and recent graduates who are just praying their grandchildren won't still be paying off their outrageous student debts. However, I'm not writing this article for the disenfranchised scholars who got screwed by our country's horribly overpriced college system. I'm sharing my strange fluke of advantage for the young people out there who doubt the value of higher education or fear their lack of finances is blocking their chances at a meaningful career. 4 years ago, I left Minnesota to start college at the Culinary Institute of America in New York. My parents were bankrupt, and I had a measly $192.07 in my bank account. When I graduate next month, I'll have a BBA in food business management, 4 years of incredible culinary experiences, a total of $175,000 in scholarships, and not a single penny of student debt. I know. I'm even bothering myself. I promise these facts will prove a point.
I went to a commuter college that cost $50 a semester. I grew up in an America that said we're going to invest in our kids.
We have hundreds of thousands of bright young people today who cannot afford to go to college. That is crazy and unfair not only to the individuals, to the young people, but to the future of our economy.
Education in this country has never been more expensive and never been more questionable. The nonprofit organization, the College Board, assesses the average cost of private college per year from 1972 to 2013 has increased by a whopping $24,000. The Institute for College Access and Success reports that nationwide, the average student debt upon graduation is $30,000 per borrower in 2015.
Nobody has ever said that to me.
In a society where some of our greatest financial success stories dropped out early or never even attended college, any attempt at higher education seems daunting, to say the least. It's a huge gamble for those who are just beginning their branch into adulthood. This fear becomes even more complex for young cooks who do not have a prescribed career path like doctors or lawyers. Wannabe chefs are warned with multiple intimidating threats when contemplating higher education. If they actually do enroll in culinary school, they're a yuppie idiot who's wasting money on knowledge that could have just been learned on the job. If they opt out of the accredited training, they'll be years behind the professionals that did aim for college degrees. Finally, if the chef hopeful decides to learn from self-practice, they are nothing more than an unprofessional home cook. There are so many subtle stigmas in the food world that just making the decision on how to become a chef affects your reputation. However, my plea is this. If we as culinary professionals want to continue to elevate our craft within the realms of artistry, ethics, proficiency, and recognition, why would we turn our back on a structure of education that has advanced all other professional fields? As Mark Wilson asks in his Lucky Peach article, should you go to culinary school, why would anyone lobby for a less educated workforce? Just how qualified a person do you want cooking your food? I cannot guarantee you that a few years in a culinary school will grant all students their dream chef positions. I cannot promise you that you will graduate satisfied with your food knowledge or that you will be a dropout, furious with your depleted time and money. All I can share is my own culinary college story of how I soaked up every amazing opportunity and escaped unscathed. When I was really young, and I first learned I could actually get paid to cook people food, I knew I had to be a chef. I told myself that I had to go to the best culinary college in the world so that I too could be the best. That school for me was the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, New York. Getting perfect grades in school and learning about food was all that I focused on. I would cook for my family all the time, take notes while watching Food Network, and read cookbooks late into the night after everyone else in my house fell asleep. I was so proud of myself because I was becoming a little scholar I hoped the CIA would never reject. I didn't have very many friends, but I had a concrete plan for my future. Thinking about food and my career projection became my first obsession. Then, before I started high school, my mother fell and hurt her arm while we were all ice skating. She wore a white cast with a dark purple sling and had to be out of work for many months. She was our primary breadwinner, and the unfortunate accident set my family back financially. Debts rose, and college prospects became nothing but a pipe dream. My parents felt ashamed. They admitted they wouldn't be able to help pay for any type of college and couldn't co-sign on loans. This crushed my hopeful soul and little marinara-soaked heart. The CIA's $40,000 annual tuition became almost a laughable prospect. My only real option would be to stay in Duluth, Minnesota, and just work in kitchens after high school. However, I had already planned all the goals and prepared like a workhorse. I didn't want to give up on the future I had been daydreaming of for so long. I didn't want to let myself down. I actually remember typing, "How do I go to college with no money?" into the clunky beige keyboard of our old IBM computer. After my Ask.com research, scholarships became the only real possibility of getting to CIA. Therefore, becoming the perfect applicant became my life's second obsession. The next 4 years of high school, I did everything I could to create an impressive resume for scholarship committees. President of multiple clubs, volunteer work, competing in speech tournaments, and cooking as much as possible was the extent of my high school experience. When senior year rolled along, I was valedictorian and had a unique, impactful, and charming resume. It showcased I was more ambitious than a typical cook, but had more individuality than other zealous Ivy League applicants. I cried when I got my CIA acceptance letter in the mail. When I was about to leave high school, I had never asked out any cute boys, I never went to parties, I didn't go to sports games, and I hung out with my few lovely friends only if it fit into my schedule. Looking back, it's pretty depressing, but my accomplishments looked strong on paper, and that's what mattered to me. All my obsessions were worth it. My resume, my speech background, and stupidly eager enthusiasm helped me nail all my scholarship interviews and earn $80,000 to pay for my first 2 years at CIA. It was happening. It was all really happening. Then, suddenly, I was wrist deep into a chicken carcass and on my 3rd month of college at CIA. I was wearing my Iron Chef whites, walking through the pathways of Roth Hall, and grew accustomed to carrying deadly weapons to and from our classes. I had made friends from all over the world who somehow loved food just as much as I did. I was in an environment that finally understood me, but still I found myself being the odd person out. I didn't have a car, I couldn't afford to go on fun trips to New York City every weekend, my family lived states away, and most of my weekend meals consisted of cheap oatmeal, yogurt, fruit from Fark Hall, or leftovers from classes that chefs let us take home. My life seems exciting if anyone asks me about scholarships or accomplishments, but in truth, I am a struggling broke college student locked in my room, living off scraps like everyone else.
What would you say to the politicians who said, I went to college, I had to work through it. The kids today are just whining about their debt.
Take a risk, get the education, borrow money if you have to from your parents.
Yeah, they had to work through it at a time when a part-time job would cover tuition and books.
I find there are 2 stereotypes of students here at CIA. The first has rich and successful parents who paid the entirety of their education day one and who lived a childhood of ease I'll never understand. The second comes from an average family, is working 2 jobs, and will still graduate with their firstborn child promised to their loan servicer. However, I was in the middle. A stray little fusilli noodle that got lost between bowls of angel hair and elbow macaroni. I was the only person that was attempting to try and pay everything off with scholarships. It makes no sense to me. I wish more students gave this path a better chance. Last year, Scholarship America offered more than $225 million in educational aid for college students, and the CIA offers an average of $3 million a year. Of CIA's 2,100 enrolled students, only about 24% have actually finished their initial chef general application, which takes about 10 minutes to give themselves the opportunity to even be considered for any CIA scholarships. Yes, students may require financial need, a certain GPA, or other eligibility criteria, but a huge portion of the student population doesn't even give this route to pay off their tuition a fair shake. In addition, even fewer students apply for the CIA consulting competitions that can award winners with huge scholarship prizes, free trips around the nation, and amazing experiences with none of these need/merit-based requirements. As I started winning these competitions and earning scholarships as my time at CIA went on, it almost felt like I was pulling off the heist of the century. My peers were amazed or shocked that I had such luck, yet they easily could have done it for themselves. I am the last person who can give advice on exploring the eternal sex and alcohol-fueled fraternity party some hopeful freshmen expect college to be. However, if you are an ambitious youngster, afraid of loans, I have a plethora of suggestions that will make your future tuition bill either small or non-existent. Your grades are important. Do your homework and toil for that A. Be proactive in interesting school activities that make you a bright, unique little snowflake. Apply for every scholarship, contest, and grant that you can possibly find under the sun, because that free money is going to someone and it can easily be you. Many of your favorite organizations and companies have scholarships or competitions that award financial aid. You just have to take the leap. There truly is opportunities for every type of student. You just have to get used to a little rejection. For every one essay I wrote that won me an award, 40 essays never got a response. Being proactive, taking tons of risks, and typing at this computer, just like I am now, is what has earned me $175,000. Think of your college education like an internship at a huge company. If you put a ton of effort into it, learn all you can, and bond with your fellow minions, it will pay off when you make connections and eventually branch out on your own. The most important advice I can offer is, take advantage of your time and experiences in college. Don't let it waste away or take advantage of you. I realize that my stroke of good fortune isn't one that is at all relatable. However, it is a story I can call completely my own. What I've learned from achieving my childhood goals is that it's possible for anyone to reach their own ambitions if you're not distracted by what others deem important. My whole life I've ignored what's popular or what is expected of me and just tried my best to excel at what I know I was talented at. I like to think other chefs are similar in this trait. We find artistry where others only find menial labor. To move all chefs forward, we have to view higher education not as an annoying chore to opt out of, but a necessity to elevate our beloved industry. I've always starved myself of common rites of passage or certain comforts to graduate debt-free because I don't want to owe my life's outcome to anyone but myself. Taking the initiative to leave home, struggle through college, and build roads to a more secure future is what higher education offers to all who take advantage of it. Yes, it takes more work, even being a little bit obsessive, but that's not new for chefs like us. We can handle it.